my testimony. But in being in preparation for this, I wanted to make sure I gave the full version, the raw and uncut version, the painful version. Mark Twain said, "The two most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why." The two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. So let's go back. I was born in D.C., grew up in Maryland, moved to Virginia around 13, and I was raised two-parent home. My mom's a lawyer. My dad was a PhD, he was a psychiatrist. Great family. I got a younger brother named Sam. I was raised in the church. My mom, my grandma were praying women. My dad was actually a minister. And I knew Christ at an early age. I actually got saved at 10 by my own choice. Got baptized, all of that. I was reading my word. Everything was seemingly on the right track. And around probably age 6, something shifted. And what started was my dad had a disease called sickle cell. Y'all know what that is?
Yes.
And what it does is, one of the things it does is not only affects your blood, but it affects your kidneys. And he ended up having to get a kidney transplant. But even with the transplant, he had to be on dialysis. Y'all know what dialysis is?
Yes.
So I remember times in the house where he'd have the little baggie hanging and he'd be sitting next to the bed and he'd have to go in and out the hospital sometimes. I remember times where we were set, the car was packed, we were ready to go on vacation. I remember one time specifically, we were ready to go to Disney World, about to make that drive, car packed, ready to go. But he had to be admitted to the hospital. And it's not to say I hold any grudge, because I don't. And actually, from what I remember, he never even complained about the situation. I remember his smile even to this day. But I also remember several other times being in the hospital. I remember one time he was in the hospital. I don't know how exactly this happened, but he was sleeping and somehow had a seizure. And in the course of the seizure, he broke his hip on the hospital bed. I remember another time they had to rush him in because he had to get his appendix taken out. And there was just issues and complications throughout the time. And from about age 6 to about age 11, this was the story. I remember one time in the hospital, my mom took me and my brother in the room, and his middle name was Ray. She called him Ray. And she said, "Hey, Ray, this is Alex, your son." And this was different because she had never had to introduce me to him like that before. He always knew who I was when I walked in the room, so clearly I knew something was different. I knew his mental faculties were starting to fade. I remember a short time after that, I remember waking up in the middle of the night screaming, running to my mom's room. I woke up screaming, like crying out of my mind. I was like, "Mom, Mom, 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 I just had a dream that Dad died." And she's in the middle of the night trying to calm me down, trying to figure out what's going on. And it was so real, it was so visceral, I could feel it like it was real. So I went back to sleep. The next day I came home from school, got off the bus like I always did. Once again, it was different. I walked in the house, walked to the back of the house, and I see my mom sitting on the couch with my pastor. They let me know that he had passed. So at 11, forced to be a man as a boy. Still got a younger brother, still got to look after him. Barely can look after myself. My mom needs more help. There's obviously less money in the house. And this wasn't something I chose, and I don't say this as a pity thing. I say this just to let you know the full story of what made me me now. So about a year and a half later, or thereabout, my mom meets someone, they end up getting married. This takes us to Virginia. This guy, my stepdad, Floyd, I've often thought I'd be better off if she never got remarried. And he was never physically abusive, but it was all emotional and psychological, mental, mainly not just to me, but also to my mom. And she didn't really talk about it much, but I could see her sometimes crying, and I could even remember times where I got into it with him. And we used to think he was probably bipolar. He never got diagnosed, but even his own family said that. Because he would flip from back and forth. I remember one time he accused me of being back in the woods doing drugs, and I wasn't even on that back then. He said there was mud on my tires, and he was tracing. I was like, what are you talking about? And I got so mad that I went downstairs to the basement, I got a suitcase, and I'm like, I'm leaving. No, I ain't got nowhere to go. Y'all done it too. And I was so angry and I was so upset, and I could tell even from that moment, and not just from that moment, from several other moments, because kids are very perceptive. This is why I like talking with y'all. Y'all recognize what's fake, y'all recognize what's real. I appreciate that about you. And as a kid, I was very perceptive, and I knew he didn't really feel me. For some reason, he always favored my younger brother more than me. Don't know why. And it almost felt like now I'm 0 for 2 in the dad department. Through no fault of my own. And so even if I go, and I started sleeping around in high school, I didn't get into drugs, alcohol, at least not yet. And I remember even in my freshman year of college, during finals week of all times, this is the moment that my mom lets me know that she's getting a divorce from my stepdad. Needless to say, I didn't do great. And at that time, other things came up too, and what actually came up was he told her, I found out now, that he actually told her to her face that he didn't favor me, he didn't like me, he liked my younger brother more. So what I was feeling, what I was perceiving was true. And so, as I was in college, this is where the story takes a real bad turn. This is when I started to drink. This is when I started to get high. This is when I started smoking cigarettes. This is when I started doing ecstasy. This is when I started doing coke. Listen up. I don't just mean having a beer. I mean there was days, there was weeks, there was every day, matter of fact, that I did not go to sleep not drunk. That I did not go to sleep not high. I remember actually, my wife, my girlfriend at the time, roommate, asked me one time, was like, Alex, do you remember any nights that you have here? Because see, I was the type, I'd black out. I'd wake up in the morning and be like, man, how'd we get home? Like, you drove us. And dropped people off along the way. Yeah. I wake up in the middle of the night, or I wake up in the morning, matter of fact, I got blood on my sheets, blood on my arms. Like, what the heck happened last night? You were out there fighting. I was a fighter too. Not only was I a fighter, I was so stupid, I used to walk around with this 6-inch hunting knife on my waist. I had anger issues where, that's the light way of saying it. It used to make me angry to walk around the campus and see somebody smiling. Like, what are they so happy about? And constantly and consistently numbing that pain with alcohol, with weed, and with whatever else I could get my hands on, to an extent. I would steal things. I had a filthy mouth. I was sleeping with whoever. That, as far as you can go away from God, I was there. With no real intention of coming back. When I say drunk driving, I mean I couldn't walk straight, but I was driving. Stupid. But see, now we're in the phase of my life where I call covered. Because in all these things that I'm telling you, he covered me. There's no reason, there's nothing special about me that means that I should be alive when somebody can drive drunk one time and die. I never died, obviously, never had an accident, never even got pulled over. And when I say driving, I'm not talking about here down the street, I'm talking about distances like from here to Schaumburg. It is a long drive. I remember parties that I used to go to, so if you picture from here to about Schaumburg, and on the way to the party, before I left my house, I would drink a 40. On the way there, I'm smoking a blunt out the window, driving down the highway, and then get there, drink more, and then get back home. crazy. I think two of the smartest decisions I made in my limited knowledge was I never bought a gun, had a gun, and I never learned to cook crack. And I remember one time I was at one of my connects' house, and I'm gonna tell the rest of this part of the story in a minute, but he was actually cooking crack on the stove. When I got there, he was like, do you want me to show? I was like, nope. Because if I know, it's gonna be a wrap. I would not be here right now. And I knew with my anger issue that if I ever had a gun, it would not end well. So let me take you back, because drugs, as you see, play a key role in my story. But let me tell you how that started. Because at first it was just, okay, let me just get high, and matter of fact, let me just buy this so I can break even at least, and I smoke for free, basically. So I just sell that little bit, and I wasn't trying to be no hustler or anything like that. But I remember one weekend, and this is at a time when ecstasy was starting to become real popular. Y'all know what that is, right? Yeah. Oh, I sound a little too enthusiastic. And it was just starting to become real popular. And I remember it clear as day, my brother Sam and his friend Ryan were coming to Charlottesville. I went to University of Virginia. They were coming to visit me that weekend. They wanted to get a little taste of the college life. And as they were coming, see, ecstasy is the type of drug that you don't do by yourself. You do it in groups. You do it in parties. Okay? What you mean, yes? So I got a call, and so I was always the guy, listen up, I was always the kind of the middleman. People just knew that I knew how to find stuff. I was always just well connected, still am, in a different way. And so people, one guy called me, he's like, man, Alex, can you find 5? And another guy called me, he's like, can you find 10? Another guy called me, can you find 10? So I'm like, okay. I called my guy Eric. So when I lived in my second year, it was a place called Lambeth Commons. And I remember downstairs to the left, that's where Eric lived. He was from Long Island. He always sold ecstasy. And so I called him, I said, hey, you got 25? He said, yeah. I said, cool, I'm gonna go get the money, I'll be back at you. I went 3 different apartments, picked up the money. I was like, I'll be back with y'all in about half an hour. Came back to my guy, I was like, hey, I need about 25 total. Now, at the time, ecstasy was 25 a hit, 25 a pill. Huh? So, that's too much for you? Yeah! Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I'm just checking. So listen up. So it's 25 a pack. So if y'all do the math, listen up. What I didn't tell you is that I've always been very smart. I was always in the GT, the HGT, the magnet schools growing up. I've always been very smart. And so I added this up, 25 times 25, got 625, came to my guy. He's like, cool, how many you need? I said 25. So he said, okay, that's bulk, let me give you 2 for 9. So 9 times 25, that's 225. So in the course of an hour, I accidentally made $400.
Oh, accidentally.
And a hustler was born. Trust me, I wasn't trying to do it. Listen up, I was purposely going to get the money just to be the man, just to be the connect, just to give somebody what they needed. Illegal as it was. And yeah, it was by accident. But see, just that little taste is enough. So what I encourage you all to do is never to even flirt with certain things. See, the devil can make it look good. He's never going to make it look bad up front. He's going to wait a little while to do that. When I was driving drunk, and I can tell you right now, there's no goodness of me that makes a reason why I'm here and somebody else isn't. And some of you don't even understand that you're being covered right now. Some of you don't understand how much grace and how much mercy he has extended to you on a day-to-day basis. There's things that you know that you did that you should be held accountable for, but you're not. I would be a fool not to give God glory. I would be a fool not to worship God. So when we have worship, as Pastor Nick was saying, you would be a fool not to give him everything you can give him now to cover your behind later. So, a hustler's born. So now, I'm like, okay, I can do this, flip that to this. I can get an ounce, flip this to that. Get a quarter pound, flip that to a pound, flip that to 2. And now, every weekend, or at least every other weekend, I'm taking trips out of town. I got connects in different places. One of my connects was actually my brother, and the crazy thing when his school was at William & Mary, his apartment, his dorm was actually 50 feet away from the campus police station. So I used to actually park at the police station, go to his place, pick up the package, load it in my trunk at the police station, and drive back to my school. Because I didn't care, I was bored and I didn't have any fear, I was too stupid to be nervous. Some of y'all don't even understand, listen up, how crazy some of the things that you do and attempt to do are. But what I want to tell you is the reason I'm here is so you don't have to repeat what I already did. I already did this for you. You don't got to go this route. Lightning doesn't strike twice, so just because I survived, just because I'm here doesn't mean you will.
That's good.
So now I'm selling weed. Now I'm known on campus. Now I'm one of the people. There was a task force called JADE. So in Charlottesville, the county is Jefferson County. So it's called Jefferson Area Drug Enforcement. That's JADE. So twice they swept through the school, and there was different. The first time they swept through, they caught like 1.5 million in drugs and paraphernalia. They put the names in the paper of the people they caught. 3 of them were either my connects or my customers. But they didn't get me. And not because I'm so smart. That's not the point of the story. The point is that he covered me.
That's good.
The second time they swept through the school, and at this time I'm living in an apartment with some guys. This is like 3rd or 4th year, and I used to see out the window, and I was always looking over my shoulder. You know, in preparation for this lesson, I was trying to find some pictures. But see, the problem is, when you're a real hustler, you hide from the camera. That's how I know who's fake and who's real. I don't have a lot of pictures from them. See, all these people posing with the money and all that, they ain't for real.
Come on, Pastor.
Real hustlers don't pose for pictures. So listen, when I'm looking out the window, listen up. When I'm looking out the window, I see an unmarked car there. Every so often, I see this unmarked car there, and I know what the undercover of the Crown Vic looks like. Right, Dash? So listen up. I used to see this. I used to be nervous. I used to go to sleep at night because I did know God at an early age. I used to still go to sleep at night, and I didn't tell nobody this because I wasn't living right to be able to tell anybody, but I would cry at night. I would pray at night, drunk and all. Because I didn't want to be where I was, but I didn't know how to get out. I remember I got arrested a few times. But never did a day. Did a couple nights. But I'll tell you just the first time I got arrested. First time, I was coming back from spring break. I was at Daytona Beach. I was coming back, and it was about a 2-hour drive from my house to Charlottesville. And I had spent a little bit too much money on spring break, wanted to recoup some money. So I called my guy RZA, back at home. I picked up a QP, drove back to school, but halfway to school is a place called Culpeper. Now, if you've ever been to Virginia, you've seen some corn stalks and some vacant areas and some vacant lands and some nothingness, all right? And this is where Culpeper is. And so I get pulled over in Culpeper. Now, at the time, I had this nice car. I thought it was nice, dark green, had the rims on it, leather seats. Thought I was doing something, right? And I get pulled over, and at the time, I already had speeding tickets, too many. So as soon as the officer pulls me over, I'm like, I'm trying to talk my way out of a speeding ticket. Like, please, officer, I promise I'll slow down. I need my car. Please don't give me another ticket. I can't get another ticket. I need my license. He's like, I didn't pull you over for speeding. What? What'd you pull me over for then? Now, what I gotta tell you is in Virginia, he pulled me over because my tent on my windows was too dark, which it was. Because in Virginia, the legal limit is very low, so everybody gets one step higher. Everybody does it. Now, the crazy thing is he is one of 3, he tells me, one of 3 state troopers in all of Virginia that has a tent meter in his car. Just my luck. So he checks the tent meter, he puts it on the window, it obviously is illegal. And he's like, okay, so I need you to step out the car. Now, I wish I would have known my rights back then, but I didn't. Whatever. I know what's in the car. I know, and I didn't have sense enough to even put it in the trunk. I put it in my backpack, put the backpack on the floor of the back seat. So I get out the car. He says, what's this? I think I found a seed. It's probably a pebble, but whatever. And at the whole time I'm nervous. I don't know. I've never been in this situation. And long story short, he finds what we both know is there. if you've never been arrested, if you've never had handcuffs placed on your wrists, then you can't really identify with how that feels. Especially that first time. Listen up. So at that first moment, those cuffs go on your wrist, you know at that moment, I don't care what you say about your freedom now, that moment you know you're no longer free. There is nothing you can say, there is nothing you can do to get that officer to take them cuffs off until he wants to. And he puts me in the car. Now, this makes it even worse what I'm about to tell you, because he puts me in the car and then the second officer pulls up. They tow my car. They take it to the impound. I end up losing the car because the state mandated insurance that they forced you to put on it, I couldn't afford. So there's a lot of other repercussions that come with this, and I want to scare y'all straight if you haven't been yet. So I'm in the car and they're weighing, the other officer has a scale. He starts weighing the bags. He says, okay, first bag 1.5, second bag 1.5. Now look, I told you I was good in school, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like 1.5, that's 3, count the QP. Wait a minute. See, let me tell you math. There are 16 ounces in a pound. A QP is a quarter pound is 4 ounces. So I'm in the car, not only am I going to jail, but I got ripped off on top of it. I'm going to detour real quick and tell you, I happened to see RZA about 8 months later. Had the nerve to be at my house, back home. And my brother was the starting quarterback for the football team. He took them to the States and everything like that. And so a lot of people were always at the house. So RZA was at the house. And I told y'all how I used to walk around with this 6-inch hunting knife on my waist. And so I saw RZA there. I was like, hey man, let me holler at you in the hallway for a minute. And he probably thought I was trying to get something else. But I took that knife out and I put it to his neck. I said, empty your pockets. And that's the first moment he knew that I knew. See, I'm telling you this not to brag. I'm telling you this because when you see me on Sunday morning, when y'all see me on Thursday, you don't see that. And this is the point, that I need you to know that God did this. This is through no goodness of Alex. I couldn't have made myself the way I am now. Not that I'm perfect. So let me go back to the story. So I get arrested. I get bail bondsmen, and I go before the magistrate. They set my bail. You got to post 10%. So I get the money. I go to the ATM. Bail bondsman, pay him. The bail bondsman takes me out of jail, drives around the corner, pulls up at the gas station, and says, "All right." I'm like, "All right, what?" They're like, "This is it." I'm like, "This is what?" Like, this is as far as I go. I was like, "I don't live here. It's a gas station. You need to get some gas and fill up before we go. That's cool, but I don't live here." See, what they don't tell you is that a bail bondsman's only job, is to get you outside the 4 walls of the jail. That's it. What you do after that is on you. So now, see, Culpeper's about 60, it's a halfway point, so it's about 60 miles from my destination, which is UVA, to Charlottesville. And so I'm sitting on the curb, 10 o'clock at night, young black man in the middle of nowhere at a gas station in Culpeper, Virginia. And cell phones were around, but they weren't really like this, so I didn't have any way to communicate with anybody. So, this car pulls up, and they see me sitting there. Clearly I don't belong sitting on the curb at a gas station in Culpeper, Virginia. And the guy says, "Where you going?" I tell him where I'm going. I'm going to Charlottesville. He says, "All right, I'm going that way, hop in." So on the way down back to school, my dorm was Lambeth Commons. I could see it. I can remember everything about it. And on the way back, I'm telling the story, we're talking and everything like that. I pull up, I was like, "Man, hey, when I get there, my roommate got like 50 bucks, 60 bucks, I'm gonna run in and get it for you. I appreciate this." And he's like, "Cool, just, whatever you can do." So on the way, I get there, and when I get to the dorm, I'm like, "Cool, man, I appreciate this so much. I'm gonna run in, I'm gonna get your money, I'm gonna be right back." But then he pops the trunk. 20 guns in the trunk. Opens his jacket. Holster on each side, gun in each holster. He says, "What you want?" I said, nothing. I was like, "Bro, I literally just got out of jail." But what if that car had got pulled over?
Oh my gosh.
But he covered me. So I run and I get the money. I'm like, "Here, take the money." I'm like, "I hope I never see you again." I didn't say that to him, but that's what I'm thinking in my mind. Because how crazy is that? There was other pivotal moments. I remember one time, so one of these, in the J task force, when they swept through the school, one of the guys got busted. He was a customer of mine. And he came and he was asking to get something. I said, "Yeah." But I didn't know they had turned him. He was a snitch now. So when he was coming to the place, my girlfriend at the time and one of my roommates come running into the room. And like, Alex, let me talk to you. So they intervened. They let me know what was up. And I didn't make that transaction. Had I made that transaction, I might not be here right now. I remember another time. Listen up, y'all. I remember another time. I had finally finished school after I got kicked out of school, fought my way back in. I don't even have time to tell that whole story. And as I got back in, I was still doing stuff, still drinking, still hustling, still doing things illegal. And I remember in December when I finished my classes, I had already secured a job that was going to start in January. And the last day before I'm driving home, the car's packed, ready to go. And I was like, man, it'll be just my luck that I get pulled over when I'm getting my life right. There was a rapper named Scarface, he had a line, he said, they always try to hand you a case when you try to ease up out the dope game. And I remember thinking, like, man, I'm not even going to risk it. So a guy came to get something, I think he just wanted a dub, so I was like, look, take it all. I think it was an ounce. He had a great deal that day. I was like, take it, I don't want to see it no more. I'm not even risking driving home with this. At least I had enough sense to know that. When I say complete, go back for a second. See, anyone seeing me now has no doubt in their mind that there's a God, if they knew me then. That same roommate of my then girlfriend has seen me since. And now when we talk, we're talking about the word, we're talking about marriages and things of this nature, and she knows I'm a pastor. There was clear evidence of God's intervention in my life. But see, I never sought to be a pastor. I never knew I'd be a published author. I never knew that I'd be, I'm sorry, Nick. You go to the next one. I never knew that I'd have beautiful family, beautiful wife, beautiful kids, beautiful home. See, this is old Alex.
You look how.
That's the only pictures I can find. Now go to the next one. This is new Alex. See, I never really knew the word, but now I teach people the word. I don't just teach people the word, I teach teachers how to teach the word. Do you see how God can flip a situation? I never sought to do this. I never ran to this. As a matter of fact, if you really want to trace my life, I ran from it.
Come on.
But God has a way of catching up to you. So, every day you wake up, you have another opportunity to get it right. That's your choice. I feel as though, like Paul, that I'm the worst of all sinners.
Come on.
That's how I feel. Because I knew better. See, God also had a way of surrounding me with the right and righteous people. Many of you may not know this. But back in 05, 06, 07, when Pastor T was the youth pastor before he went to New Zealand and left us all. But I was his right-hand man. Whatever he needed, I ran it. I got that. I took care of it. But see, what else I learned true worship from him. I had never been in church lifting my hands. I'd never been crying in church. And when you're doing what I did, you can't really cry. That was foreign to me. But see, I had another person named Pastor Tim. Pastor Tim taught me how to study the Word. I had another brother named Pastor Nick. Y'all might know him. And Matt back there. They taught me discipleship. See, y'all think I knew this stuff because I do this stuff, but I never knew it. Somebody's got to teach you everything you know. Human beings learn everything. They have to be taught everything. And some of you may say, I don't have nobody in my life, but my question is, when was the last time you prayed and asked God for somebody to disciple you? I know you prayed, asked for some J's, you prayed, asked for that prom dress, you might even pray and say, help me on this test. But when's the last time you prayed and asked God to send somebody to disciple you? See, that's the type of prayer he wants to answer. And truthfully, we'd be here till next week if I really want to tell you my whole testimony. But what I want to tell you is this. You have to learn, please listen to this. You have to learn to trust God, even when you can't trace him.
Oh, that's good.
You have to learn to trust God even when you can't trace him. What do you mean? Why do I got to take 3 steps this way, 2 steps back, just to go 1 step forward? I don't know, but he does. And his own omniscient way, omniscient means all-knowing, he knows why he's taking you the route he's taking you. And I know some people think this is just unbearable, I can't handle this, but circumstances are only unbearable when your purpose is indefinable.
Shut up. You better.
So what am I saying? When you don't know why you're going through what you're going through, then yeah, it's unbearable. But once you know your purpose, everything starts to make sense. See, if I could have seen this then, maybe I could have understood why I was where I was when I was there. That's a tongue twister. But I didn't understand, and I thank God for covering me long enough, and he still covers me, and he's still completing me. I'm not complete. And I know some of y'all think, man, this is too much. I'm 14, 15, 16. You know, I can't handle this or that. I remember one time crying out. Matter of fact, I'm a lot. Complaining to God. Yes, I did that. We're not supposed to complain. Well, I did. We do. And I said, God, back to back to back. Everything keeps happening back to back to back. I can't take this, God. Where are you at? God, you said you love me. What are you doing? Are you really just going to let the devil do whatever he wants to me? Yeah, just like that. And I remember clear as day, the Holy Spirit said to me, Alex, you should have seen what he wanted to do, but I said no. See, it's all about perspective. And when is the last time you asked God to give you an insight into his perspective in your life? No one has the authority to write your story. Your story is complete when you write it. Determine this day to live out your purpose. Philippians 1:6 says this, that he who has begun a good work in you shall complete it till the day of Jesus Christ. The day of Jesus Christ means either you go there or he comes back. Now listen, shall is where life occurs. He who has begun a good work shall complete it. Let me tell you like this, when my kids have furniture that needs to be assembled, I take it out the box, there's all these little parts, there's 35 screws, 20 nails, all these different things. I gotta take part A, hold it with part D. I'm usually doing this by myself, so I'm trying to prop it up and hold it and hammer and do this, and it's a difficult process. But then I take a look at the box, and I can see the picture of what it's gonna be and what it's supposed to be. And what I need you to do in the spirit is get a picture of the box and see what you're gonna be and what you're supposed to be. Don't get caught up in the process. What happens is we focus on the future that we get paralyzed in the present. You have such a focus. I hear y'all, when I grow up and I get out of my mama's house, I'm gonna do, okay. But what are you doing right now to prepare yourself for that?
Save your money.
For the most part, nothing. Because I hear y'all. Repeat after me. I will be what he created me to be.
What he created me to be.
I will do what he created me to do. I will live and live more abundantly. I will live out my purpose. Amen. Once he reveals your purpose to you, everything you do in life, everything you go through in life should be viewed through the lens of, will this help me or distract me from my purpose? And I don't need you to know what your purpose is right now at your age. That's cool. I do need you to know that you have one. See, knowing you have a purpose means you know you have value. No matter what they say to you on Facebook, Snapchat, or any of the other things. And once you know you have value, thoughts of suicide, which I had, thoughts of homicide, which I had, go away. I know right now how to eliminate homicide in Chicago. Y'all know that? If everyone on this planet knew their purpose, there wouldn't be any.
Come on.
Bottom line. So, he didn't just cover me because he liked it or because he was bored that day, he was looking for something to do. He covered me because he has need of me. He has need of you. Let me close with this. The 2 most important days in your life are the day you're born, the day you find out why. You've already been born. Make today the 2nd most important day in your life. Amen.
Yes.